All right, Flat Brothers, are we clear? Are we clear? And we are live. Live to tape.
Brothers. There you go.
Cloud Brothers, it's got a good beat and you can dance to it. Like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can tell
I
every time
laughed,
we
I
upload
cried,
new
it became
content.
a part of me.
For great content like this.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, I didn't mean to
we
click
did
that.
today, Brain.
What are we doing today? Well, I'm pretty close to the writing for the certification exam. I have
Awesome.
been practicing a lot of the Udemy um, practice exams, but I feel funny about putting that one up without
Yeah,
asking. So
I think we got, I think we've got, uh, sort of clearance from our friend John.
fair
Because,
use consent, but
yeah.
I'd rather shoot them. Well, and the other thing is
I saw you put the link in to buy it last week
well,
or
yeah,
last couple
always.
of weeks. So,
But I think
it's good. Yeah.
that because Udemy's a bigger company, so they have to answer to Udemy, like the teachers. So
I
even
think,
if
yeah,
I did do it
Udemy's
and they
like,
didn't have a problem, they're gonna go. They're gonna get maybe
I
annoyed.
think they're like an aggregator or something. But yeah, I
That'd
would,
be my point.
I
Just
think this is okay, but the other ones, yeah,
yeah.
I think
Oh,
you're right.
I can always shoot an email and ask, and I'll do that. I might just do that with this too. Hey, and I appreciate it, and I'll
Uh,
always give you a shout out, and I'll always recommend this, and whenever I do
yeah,
pass the exam, I'll give them
he,
lots of props.
he had another one out in LinkedIn this week that I said glowing things because basically they're true. I'm not blowing smoke. Uh, they are very good value for money and
Hmm.
by far better than anything else that I found.
Yeah, they are good. They're really good. So
And
I so
best
anyway,
part,
I wanted
it
to
hasn't
put
bugged us yet.
pardon.
All right. So anyway, let's get into it.
Point is that I just want to do a review mode so we can see if it's right away without having to wait, so we can like I've completed this whole thing because I'm gonna go over practice till I get 90s over and over again before I write on
Yeah,
these, and then I'm almost guaranteed to pass. Unless I'm
pretty
having a
much. Yeah.
bad reading comprehension day, and that's one thing to remember. For people that are new to it, I think that's helpful. Is my coworker at work was talking about these certifications exams, and what they really are is reading comprehension,
100%.
right? So if you're not like you're just kind of glancing over because you know the resources really well and you have all the technical knowledge. If you don't have good
Yeah,
reading comprehension, you're not going to pass, or if you don't pay attention to it. So anyway,
100%.
let's
And also, wait, I got one more extension to that talking about reading comprehension tests because he's 100% correct.
correct.
If your English as a second language, you
Mm.
can check a little
Oh yeah,
box with your book
yep,
and you get an extra 30 minutes. So,
yeah.
pro tip.
You are required to prove it though. Someone that speaks your
Alice Tabernac.
somebody that does speak your language will contact you and
Yeah.
have a conversation with you in your language.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Because I looked well, I never would do it, but I looked it up and I went, oh, that makes sense. Because I just saw a person talking about how to get it, and they said that. So if it's
Oui.
true, I don't know.
Non. Comment ça va?
Oui, monsieur. Okay, let's do it anyway.
Okay,
Without
let's get
further
into it. Screwing
ado,
around. Stop screwing around.
a global IT company with offices around the world has multiple AWS accounts. To improve efficiency and drive costs down, the chief information officer wants to set up a solution that centrally manages their AWS resources. This will allow them to procure AWS resources centrally and share resources such as AWS Transit Gateways, License Manager configurations, or Route 53 resolver rules across various accounts. As the solutions architect, which combination of options should you implement in this scenario? And by process of elimination, I'm going to say that the resource access manager service, mm, Well, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe IAM across account access to share all of your resources. I don't think IAM has much to do with it.
Am I putting feedback?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
doing
okay.
this together,
Yes, you're
man.
correct. Yeah. Number two is not unchecked. Number two.
Consolidate all the company's accounts using parallel cluster. No,
I don't think that's it.
that doesn't sound smart.
No.
So, um, organizations allows uh, multiple AWS accounts. So that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, AWS organizations make sense. So
Uh,
the two that it's between is the one and the five. And I have control tower in my head because somebody told me that all of their people are going to, all of their clients are going to control tower. That's what they want. But I think I said that last time and it was wrong, and it was resource access manager.
yeah,
Uh,
for me, I'm vaguely remembering something like that, but for me, I am also leaning towards this.
yeah, I think
But
that's right.
I feel like I might be the other way. But with okay, you
That,
ready? Final answer. I'm gonna click the
finally,
check. I'm gonna click
yeah.
the check. Oh yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
win. We win. We win again. And
Good
there's
thing
no.
I didn't have to flip the table.
Yeah. Hey, there's an idea. I was thinking about making our own version of this, where eventually, when we get enough subscribers, where we could, and there's new solutions architects that are aspiring, can come
Yeah.
into our feed like a study group, and we can
Yeah, I
maybe
noticed that most of the people are beginners, which I think is a good thing. But
yeah, it's not bad.
there's something in there. There's a seed of an idea in there for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and I was also thinking instead of just like because I've seen these questions in the other practice exams so many times, it's at the point where I could start to write my own and like uh, just do my own things and base them off of the free training that AWS provides. Anyway,
Yeah,
all right, let's go with number two, and we'll probably just go for an hour. I'm not trying to finish this because, as you can see on the
yeah,
left here, like I've literally done everything, final test
yeah.
included.
Yeah. You can do the study mode on your own. You don't need, or not
Yeah,
the study, the practice mode on your own. You don't
yeah,
need
the
me for.
practice mode, the timed mode, but the
Yeah,
instant feedback I really like, especially for
it's good
a
for
stream.
good for this. It's
Yep.
good for this format.
Yep. Popular mobile game uses CloudFront Lambda and DynamoDB for its backend services. The player data is persisted on a DynamoDB table, and the static assets are distributed by CloudFront. However, there are a lot of complaints that saving and retrieving information is taking a lot of time. To improve the game's performance, which AWS service can use to reduce DynamoDB response times from milliseconds to microseconds?
I think that's the DEX.
Mm, I also think it's the DAX. Cache is good, but I think that's milliseconds for your reads. So let's try it. We win again.
Yeah, no table flip.
Amazon Dynamo DAX is a fully managed, highly available in-memory cache that can reduce Amazon DynamoDB response time from milliseconds to microseconds, even at millions of requests per second.
Yeah, you've read this answer before because I'm reading the. It will not reduce the DynamoDB response time from milliseconds to microseconds as compared to DynamoDB. So it is a solution, but the best solution is DEX.
Oh no, I actually hadn't read that recently. It's from the other practice exams.
Well, you know it anyway.
Yeah, and the 27-hour course didn't hurt
Yeah,
either. And I find this really interesting, right? Like when you're talking about milliseconds to microseconds, it's a lot of time in computer language.
yeah.
Um,
Wait, I'm gonna pause you for a second though, because I'm
hi.
gonna try to get a sponsor for Clearly.ca. Get a sponsor because
Mhm.
I can read these really well because I got my new
Oh,
the
you got your new readers?
Clearly.ca like Bifocals.
Oh, are they progressives or
No,
bifocals?
bifocals. I don't know if
Okay.
you can see the line in them or not.
I
It's very
can.
small,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
but you can't see them far away. So it's computer on the top, reading on the bottom.
Nice.
If anybody from Clearly is looking, we're
Clearly,
looking for sponsorship.
we're looking for sponsorship so we can improve these streams. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Tech company has a CRM application. Oh yeah, sorry. And I also like it. It's nice that you have this here, right? We know what we're talking about, even though you
Oh
can
yeah,
figure it
have
out
it in the
from the question once
yeah.
you have some experience. But anyway, a tech company has a CRM application hosted on an auto scaling group of on-demand EC2 instances. The application is extensively used during office hours from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Their users are complaining that the performance of the application is slow during the start of the day, then works after a couple of hours. Should you configure a dynamic scaling policy for the auto scaling group to launch new instances based on CPU utilization?
Scale.
Or new instances based on memory utilization? Or should you set up an application load balancer to your architecture to ensure the traffic is properly distributed on the instances? Or should you configure a scheduled scaling policy for the
That
auto
one.
scaling group to launch a new instance before the start of the day? We win again.
They're good
Anyway,
on this one. I think that's your improvements, not my improvements. But yes, good.
could
Thanks.
be. A newly hired solutions architect is assigned to manage a set of CloudFormation templates that are used in the company's cloud architecture in AWS. The architect accessed the templates and tried to analyze the configured IAM policy for an S3 bucket, as in this example. What does the above IAM policy allow?
So get and list.
And we have to select 3. So let's go them one by one. Process of elimination, the backwards way, how I like to do it. And I am user with this I am policy is allowed to read objects from all S3 buckets owned by the account. Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, I think so.
And I am user with I am policy is allowed to write objects into the Bork S3 bucket.
Yeah, I think that one's also correct. Because it's put object, which is right.
And the IAM user with this policy is allowed to change the access rights to the 4K S3 bucket. Meh. I don't see anything about access rights in there.
No.
IAM user with this policy is allowed to read objects in the 4K S3 bucket, but not allowed to list the objects in the bucket.
No, that's not correct. Because the list from the top one is aggregate for that cascades.
So that is correct.
Uh, is
It's
that
al-
what are we looking for? Not correct or correct?
correct, right? Because
Okay. Yep.
it says it's allowed to list whatever, right?
No, but read it. It's read the question or read the answer, but not allowed to list objects, and yeah, that's not correct.
Oh, aha! I missed
Yeah,
this word.
you missed the but not. So
This is a
reading
reading
comprehension.
comprehension thing we were discussing earlier. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's allowed because you could tell by how I was talking, right?
correct.
So an IAM user with a SIAM policy is allowed to read objects from the Bork bucket. Yeah, I think so. An
Yep,
IAM user with a SIAM policy is allowed to read and delete. There's no
that's
explicit permissions for delete here.
yeah. I think we got that one.
All right, let's check. Woo-hoo-hoo! We're batting a billion.
Experts, your drip under pressure.
Yep. An X is my ex-girlfriend's dad, George. He always used to say, "An X is a has-been, and a spirit is a drip under pressure."
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of a
now I
cringy
got
thing to
that from
say,
my
but
brother.
that's what he said. I like George. He had nice
I got that
Mustangs.
from
Um,
something I got from a movie. Anyway,
I am but an egg. Company has three DevOps engineers that are handling its software development and infrastructure management process. One of the engineers accidentally deleted a file in a blah blah blah. Anyway, what can the DevOps
well,
engineers do to prevent
MFA.
this from happening again? Enable versioning and multi-factor authentication to lead on the bucket.
Yeah, correct. But we're getting the easy ones.
So far,
And they're all, well, the follow up to that is they're all easy when you know.
oh, just what? Wait. Hold on.
Go.
Where's my mouse going? That's so weird.
Uh,
Oh, I see.
you got
Hold
to
on.
sitting on the
Hold on. I ready. Ready, Eddie. Okay, we're back. All right. Um oh yeah, this was easy.
I don't like this one. Next one.
Yeah. Two and two and two. Wait. Four, minimum four. Company needs to deploy this. Sorry, I should read the question first. A company needs to deploy at least two EC2 instances to support normal workloads of its application. Automatically scale up to six EC2 instances to handle the peak load. The architecture must be highly available and fault tolerant as it's processing mission critical workloads. As the solutions architect of the company, what should you do to meet the above requirement? So I'm just going to skip to the correct answer. I think. Create an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances and set the minimum capacity to 4 and the maximum to 6. Deploy two instances availability zone A and another two instances availability zone B. Yeah, no, that's them. It's gonna double check. Speaking of reading
These
comprehension.
ones are, they give you a paper and pencil, right? When, oh, you remember. They
Oh
give
yeah.
you a paper and pencil. These are useful for that. We'll write the down. But I think you're right on this one.
Okay. Yes. A Docker application, which is running on an Amazon ECS cluster behind a load balancer, is heavily using DynamoDB. You are instructed to improve the database performance by distributing the workload evenly and using provision throughput efficiently. Which of the following would you consider to implement for your DynamoDB table? Avoid using a composite primary key, which is composed of a partition and a sort key. Use partition keys with low cardinality attributes, which have a few number of distinct values for each item. Use partitions with high cardinality attributes, which have a large number of distinct values for each item. Reduce the number of partition keys in the DynamoDB table.
So I looked this one up. I don't remember what cardinality is exactly, but I looked up the definition of it. And for some reason, I believe it's partition keys with low cardinality, but it just very well could be the high cardinality too. I don't remember. You want to Google what cardinality means, and that might give you a clue.
Well, I'm not allowed to Google it during the exam, but the good news is I'm
This is
not
review
taking
mode.
the exam right now. Cardinality. Okay, so what does cardinality mean? The number of elements in a set or other grouping as a property of that grouping. In mathematics, the cardinality of a set is a measure of the number of elements of the set. For example, the set contains three elements and therefore has a cardinality of 3.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
think it's low cardinality. Read the question again.
A Docker
Okay.
application which is running on an Amazon ECS cluster behind a load balancer is heavily using DynamoDB. You're instructed to improve the database performance by distributing the workload evenly and using the provision throughput efficiently. Which of the following would you consider to implement for your DynamoDB table?
I don't know if that cardinality thing helped or not. Uh, which have a few number of distinct value for each item. Yeah, I think it's low cardinality to speed up the reads. Part of this is just memory too,
Well,
from having
the
the question
the
before.
reason I'm being quiet is because I believe it's high cardinality, and
Okay, could be either.
which also makes sense to me. But thinking about Docker, it's a cluster, and the a cluster like the container service has a lot of attributes, right? So
Yeah,
it would be a lot of elements in with partition keys, which have a distinct member. But you also might be right. It's like this is a
I'm
memory
50.
thing too.
I'm 50-50.
So you
Pick
want
whichever one.
so
Sure.
you want to flip a coin?
Yeah, flip a coin.
I don't have a coin. All right, I'm gonna go with mine.
Okay. And you were correct. See,
Uh,
this is why you should never listen to me. You should know by now.
well, this one I looked
Well,
up and over. So let's read it. Can you see it?
yeah.
The partition key portion, because it's a weird word. It's not in any other exam that I've seen, and
No.
it might be just a TDJ thing. The
Mm-hmm.
partition key portion of a table's primary key determines the logical partitions in which a table's data is stored. This in turn affects the underlying physical partitions. Provisioned I/O capacity for the table is divided
Mm-hmm.
evenly among the physical partitions. Therefore, a partition key design that doesn't distribute I/O requests evenly can create hot partitions that result in throttling and user provision I/O capacity inefficiently. The optimal usage of a provision throughput depends not only on the workload patterns of individual items, but also on the partition key design. This doesn't mean that you must access all partition key values to achieve an efficient throughput level, or even that percentage of access partition key values must be high. It does mean that the more distinct partition key values that your workload accesses, the more those requests will be spread across the partition space. In general, you will use your provision throughput more efficiently as the ratio of partition key values access to the total number of partition key values increases. So one example
Spread
for
them.
this is the use of partition keys with high cardinality attributes, which have a large number of distinct values for each item. And you remember, it's a if it was an SQL database, a low cardinality would make sense, but it's as they said, it might not use them all, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be getting every point from the table.
But spread the load.
Exactly. So it
Okay.
actually makes a lot of sense to me.
I think
Now,
there's another
okay,
question
next to
then
you.
with the MySQL one with the cardinality word in it. We'll have
Could
to
be.
watch
I
out.
think there's 32 practice exams in this, so
Yeah.
there's a lots and lots of questions.
Big value for money.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay, so a financial application is composed of an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances, an application load balancer, and a MySQL RDS instance in a multi-AZ deployments configuration. To protect the confidential data of your customers, you have to ensure that your RDS database can be only be accessed using the profile credentials specific to your EC2 instances via an authentication token. As the solutions architect of the company, which of the following should you do to meet the above requirement? Configure SSL in your application to encrypt the database connection to RDS, a combination of IAM and STS to restrict access to RDS instance via a temporary token, create an IAM role and assign it to your EC2 instances, which will grant exclusive access to your RDS instance, or enable the IMDB authentication.
I don't understand the authentication token because I would do this with the IAM role EC2 instance, but it specifically says via authentication token.
Yeah, so that's a process of elimination, right?
Since your
You're
RDS
so it's
database
not
can
that
only
one.
be
I don't think
accessed
because it's not a token.
using profile credentials specific to your EC2 instance via an authentication
Okay.
token. I don't understand this.
Okay.
What?
So
I don't
use a combination of IAM and like STS, a security token service, right? I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
saying this
what it
is
is.
right
I
to
think that's
restrict
what it is.
access to your RDS instance via a temporary token. And then this is secure socket layer in your application to encrypt the
That's not
database
that.
connection to RDS We know it's not this one. We know it's not this one.
Oh, is
And
this the enable IMDb authentication?
that's what I think it is. But like
Yeah,
again, it's a
I
memory
think so
thing.
too.
I'm like
Yeah,
80% sure it's that
yeah. I think it's
because I
IMDb
know it's not
authentication.
secure socket layer. It, there's a like 20% chance in my head that it could be this, but this
Yeah,
is 80. So you ready? Is that your final answer?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice. This is
So,
all from getting this one wrong before.
but anyway, an authentication token, like when you're in the CLI, that's an authentication token, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It has a lifetime of 15 minutes. You don't need to store user credentials in the database because authentication is managed externally using IAM.
Yeah, okay.
For this particular token, this
For
isn't
this
like
case, yeah,
it's not the same thing as what I just said, but
yeah.
obviously. So there it is right there.
Yeah, I've never used that, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, I don't think I used it either, but like in that course, you go through like literally everything
Yeah, yeah.
that you need to do solutions architecture at that level without going into too much detail. So, which is why this. Oh man.
Well, yeah, these ones hurt.
Ooh,
If
ooh.
this was my test, I just mark this and move on.
Yeah, just like
Too much reading. Uh,
TLDR. Yeah, no doubt. Like, why are you doing this to me? The solutions architect is working for a company which has multiple VPCs in various regions. The architect is assigned to set up a logging system which will track all the changes made to the resources in all regions, including the configurations made in IAM, CloudFront, AWS, WAF, Route 53. In order to pass the compliance records, the solutions must ensure the security, integrity, and durability of the log data. It should also provide an event history of API calls made in AWS Management Console and CLI. Which of the following solutions is the best fit for this scenario?
was a cloud trail. It's a cloud trail trail. It's not a CloudWatch trail
Yeah.
because the CloudWatch trail isn't a thing. So the last two are gone. Uh, multi-region tail include global service events. No, yeah, I think you're right there.
Okay,
I think you
so
put that.
um and I think the reason why though that one's right over the one about the CloudWatch trails are obvious to me too. Like it's Cloud Trail
Yeah,
trails you're looking at, even
yeah,
though it sounds weird. S3 Buck uses CLI also both pass both the is multi-region tail and include global service events because the one above it says no includes
yeah,
global service events. Why wouldn't you
yeah,
want that?
yeah.
You'd want
Correct.
that, and that's Route 53 in CloudFront. And yeah, that's right. And I am, I guess. And it says AWS in all regions. All
Yeah,
regions. So let's check that one.
yeah. I think
Oh,
we're
it's a good.
100.
There's a good little map of what we're talking about.
It also makes that sound when you're going over it too.
Absolutely, that's how. That's the language of electrons.
That's how it works.
I was thinking today because you know how you have thoughts when you're in the bathroom sometimes,
No.
like in the shower or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah,
I was standing in the bathroom washing my hands, looking in the mirror, and I was like, you know what I do for a living? I push electrons around.
yeah.
That's all I
Well,
do.
yeah.
That's all I
You want
do.
to get into that discussion? It's yeah.
Well,
What layer does it go on the physical layer? On
yeah. Well, I work for like the company I work for is effectively an electronics company, right? So
Yeah,
like right
yeah,
now, and then like then they're getting in more and more into cloud, so they're literally going to start pushing it all over the world
yeah.
pretty
And
soon.
everything has an Ethernet card in it.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when things didn't. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
I
What's an
do because
Ethernet
I
card?
had I had a job putting them in.
Yeah, I remember that. A application that records weather data every minute is deployed in a fleet of Spot 2 instances and uses a MySQL RDS database instance. Currently, there is only one RDS instance running in one availability zone. You plan to improve the database to ensure high availability by synchronous data replication to another RDS instance. Which of the following performs synchronous data replication in RDS?
It's not CloudFront. It's not DynamoDBs.
Well, it's going to be RDS
Running.
read replica. Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't say. Well, it does say high availability.
Well, then it would
High
be multi AZ.
availability
It'll then
means
it would be a.
multi-AZ. I go with
Okay,
that
hold
one.
on.
HA and data replicated. Read replica doesn't give you HA.
Well,
So I,
it's also a data replication to another RDS instance. It doesn't necessarily say replica. Synchronous
wait a second.
data replication to another RDS instance. I think it does. I think it is read replica. I think it is this one.
Okay.
But I'm not going to press check yet because I want to make sure. So we know it's not DynamoDB because it's RDS.
Yeah. My So
It's
yeah, it's between the second one and the third one, and the only reason I think it's RDS DB instance, but mm, RDS DB instance.
See, the thing
Yeah,
is, the reason why I'm waffling on the RDS DB instance running as a multi AZ deployment is because it's not asking you to make the question mentions high availability, but it's not asking you to make it. It's asking you to make it by synchronous data replication to another instance, right?
oh yeah, okay.
So RDS DB instance running as a multi AZ deployment is a good idea, but that's already highly available. And that's not talking about replicating
Yeah,
anything. So look at the root word in the answer, right, of the third word, replica, and then look up here for the
yeah,
root word of replication,
yeah.
right? And that's why I'm leaning towards this. And again, it's 20 to 80
Okay.
for me. Should I do it? Or
Hit.
is this, do you want to die on this hill?
No, no, I don't want to die on it.
Oh, I
I
almost
feel
did. Okay, here we go. No! You were the chosen one!
I alone can fix it. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
When you create
Yeah,
or modify a DB instance to run as a multi AZ deployment, Amazon RDS automatically. You see how false flag that false flag was?
yeah,
Sons
I
of
do.
bitches. Replicas right in the word. When you create or modify your DB instance to run as a multi AZ deployment, Amazon RDS automatically provisions maintains a synchronous standby replica and different availabilities.
Yeah, that's the HA shit. I think the read
I know that.
replica. What's it
Updates to
say?
DB instance.
Read replica provides asynchronous replication instead of synchronous. I didn't know that actually.
Oh.
See the little thing underneath that?
Yeah, it
RDS read
says
rep.
asynchronous replication, highly scalable. Synchronous replication, highly durable.
Mm-hmm.
Only database on primary instances active. All read replicas are accessible and can be used for read scaling. Automated backups are taken from standby. No backups configured by default. Always span two availability zones within a single region. Can
That's
be within an availability zone, cross AZ or cross region, but you have to program it.
you have to do
Uh,
it. Yeah.
database engine version upgrades happen on primary. Database engine version upgrade is independent from source instance. Automatic failover to standby when a problem is detected can be manually promoted to a
Yeah, yeah.
standalone
There you go.
database
That's the
instance.
HA part. The
Okay,
automatic
well,
fail.
I didn't know. I honestly thought that read replicas were synchronous. I really did, or I
Uh,
would have got that. But now I know. You son of a bitch.
yeah,
Because that
I don't. I don't quite. Uh,
question we got it.
yeah.
I got it wrong. You got it right.
Nah.
I am. I'm gonna.
Still at
I'm
90.
gonna.
Still at
I'm
90%.
gonna lose sleep over that one, man.
Still
Not
ninety
really.
percent.
I'm not. Yeah. Perfectionism is not good for you. 11 question. The company is using Amazon S3 to store wait, reading
Wait.
comprehension. A company is using Amazon S3 to store frequently accessed data. When an object is created or deleted, the S3 bucket will send an event notification to the Amazon SQS queue. A solutions architect needs to create a solution that will notify the development and operations team about the created or deleted objects. Which of the following would satisfy this requirement? Set up another Amazon SQS queue for the other team. Grant Amazon S3 permission to send a notification to the second SQS queue. Or create an Amazon SNS topic and configure two Amazon SQS queues to subscribe to the topic. Grant Amazon S3 permission to send notifications to Amazon SNS and update the bucket to use the new SNS topic. Create a new Amazon SNS FIFO topic for the other team. Grant Amazon S3 permission to send the notification to the second SNS topic. Set up Amazon SNS topic and configure two Amazon SQS queues to pull the SNS topic. Grant Amazon S3 permission to send notifications to Amazon SNS and update the bucket to use the new SNS topic.
Okay, which go? So it doesn't say FIFO is first in, first out. It doesn't
Correct.
say anything about that, so I don't think it's that one.
Eliminated.
Doesn't say anything about in order and sequence. Nothing about that. So eliminate that one.
Which one?
The 3 1, FIFO.
Yeah. Yeah, FIFO.
So nothing about FIFO in
Yeah, the
there.
cursor's just hanging out there. My arms are folded. I'm not doing
Yeah.
nothing.
SQSQ for another team. Grant the S3 permission to send notification to the second SQSQ. That's not what that does. It's not a SQS. Is simple query service, simple queue service. That's just a queue. There's nothing about notifying in the first one. So number one is not. Right? So
Yeah,
SNS
good there.
topics are the only ones that make sense. So create an SNS topic and configure two Amazon SQS queues to subscribe to the topic. Grant S3 permissions to send notifications to SNS and update the bucket to use the SNS topic. All right, that's a maybe. Set up I'm reading the last one now. Set up Amazon SNS topic. Configure two Amazon SQS. That's you don't pull SQS SNS
Yeah, I
topics.
think it's this one based on the process of elimination because I
Yeah,
agree
you don't
about
pull.
this.
That's not the way it
FIFO,
works.
and that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and SQS to pull doesn't. That's not correct.
Yeah, and it's also like all you're trying to do is notify about created or deleted objects. You're not trying to
Yeah,
pull anything.
correct.
Um,
I just don't
SQS
think
to
S.
SQS doesn't make sense. So I think it's right. But
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Longish.
We're back, baby.
Yeah.
An online cryptocurrency exchange platform is hosted in AWS, which uses ECS cluster and RDS in multi-AZ deployments configuration. The application is heavily using the RDS instance to process complex and read and write database operations. To maintain the reliability, availability, and performance of your systems, you have to closely monitor how the different processes or threads on a DB instance use the CPU, including the percentage of the CPU bandwidth and a total memory consumed by each process. Which of the following is the most suitable solution to properly monitor your database? CloudWatch to monitor the CPU utilization of your database. Create a script that collects and publishes custom metrics in CloudWatch, which tracks real-time CPU utilization of the RDS instance, and then set up a class in CloudWatch to view dashboard to view the metrics. Enable enhanced monitoring. Check the CPU mem metrics, which are readily available in Amazon RDS console, that shows the percentage of the CPU bandwidth and total memory consumed by each database process of
I think the things it's asking for is that
your
one. Yeah.
RDS instance.
The
I'm
things it's asking for aren't in the regular monitoring.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
recall. The first time I heard that was from you, and then I looked it up and it was. So cryptocurrency. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought of a question for the other practice exams, which is, do you want me to check it?
Yeah, yeah, it's good. I know it. Check it. It's right.
Yeah. So they're like there is a company, and they are there's been some activity where people have been using the instance to try to mine cryptocurrency. How does the team get notified or something like this before it goes too far?
Custom CloudWatch.
Yeah, that was the answer. That's the answer. It's CloudWatch with blah 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 alarm and SNS.
Yeah.
Um, a company requires all the data stored in the cloud to be encrypted at rest. To easily integrate this with other AWS services, they must have full control over the encryption of the created keys, and also the ability to remove the key material from the AWS KMS. The solution should also be able to audit the key usage independently of AWS CloudTrail. Which of the following options will meet the requirement?
No idea.
Well, it's sort of easy. Let's see. A company
Okay.
requires, let's read it again. A company requires all the data stored in the cloud to be encrypted at rest. Okay. To easily integrate this with the other AWS service, they must have full control over the encryption keys created, and also the ability to immediately remove the key material from KMS. The solution should also be able to audit the key usage independently of CloudTrail. Cloud HSM? Is it Cloud HSM? Oh no, this isn't the same question. It's not as easy as I thought.
Maybe so. I think just because it says the customer has to be in full control of the encrypt. Oh wait, they must have full control over the encryption of the created keys. So uh, that means that it's not AWS managed or AWS owned. I think because it's the customer has to have full control, right? So I think it's one of the center ones. Uh,
Mm, 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 mm,
MK and
mm.
custom key store. So it's either a non-extractable. Oh, I think yes. I think it's number two. It's number two because I think Cloud HSM is part of it, and they're creating a custom key themselves, and you want to store it Cloud HSM or
It
S3. Actually,
it
50-50.
well yeah, they're all non-extractable, right? So that's not what that means. They they must have full control over the encryption of the created keys. So that means
Oh,
they're customer managed. Yes.
I think it's the third one. I think it's
And
S3.
also the ability to immediately remove the key from AWS KMS. So there, all these answers are KMS,
Yeah.
and they must have full control over the encryption of the
Oh, okay. So if
created
it's
keys.
immediately remove the key, I think it's the second one.
Okay, well,
Can't tell you why. Can't tell you why.
I'm gonna defer to you because I'm at a loss on this one, to be honest with you. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got it. Good job. Let me
yeah.
see.
It's
Let me
cloud. Yeah.
go on. Sorry. Say.
Oh, it's the cloud HSM thing. Is if they put the key into S3, they won't be able to immediately delete the key. If they put it in cloud HSM, I think that allows them to immediately control everything.
Okay, let me read this. So the
Okay.
KMS custom key store feature combines the controls provided by AWS Cloud HSM with the integration ease of use of KMS. You can configure your own HSM cluster and authorize KMS to use it as a dedicated key store for your keys rather than the default AWS KMS key store. When you create keys in KMS, you can choose to generate the key material in your Cloud HSM cluster. CMKs that are generating your custom key store never leave HSM in the Cloud HSM cluster in plain text, which is very important, obviously. And all KMS operations that use those keys are only be performed in your HSMs. So this helps you integrate, encrypt data that you store in these services, control access to the keys to decrypt it. To immediately remove the key material from KMS, you can use a custom key store. Take note that each custom key store is associated with a cloud HSM cluster in your AWS account. Therefore, you can create an AWS CMK in a custom key store, AWS KMS generates and stores a non-extractable key material for CMK and Cloud HSM cluster that you own and manage. This is also suitable if you want to be able to audit the usage of all your keys independently of AWS or CloudTrail. Since you control your Cloud HSM cluster, you have the option to manage the life cycle of your CMKs independently of KMS. There are 4 reasons why you might find a custom key store useful. You might have keys that are explicitly required to be protected in a single tenant HSM or an HSM in which you have direct control. You might have keys that are required to store it in an HSM that have been validated to FIPS 142 level 3 overall. The HSMs used in the standard AWS KMS key store are either validated or in the process of being validated to level 2 or level 3 in multiple categories. You might need the ability to immediately remove the key and prove you have
That's
done so by independent means, and you might have a requirement to be able to audit use of all your
so three
keys
and four.
independently of AWS or AWS
Yeah.
CloudTrail.
So
Hence,
three and
that's the
four.
correct answer. Well, that's cool. That's good to know. I learned a lot on that answer, actually.
Yeah, good.
Um, so as part of the point of these, a company has a cloud architecture that is composed of Linux and Windows EC2 instances that process high volumes of financial data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To ensure the availability of the systems, the solutions architect needs to create a solution that allows them to monitor the memory and disk
Custom metrics.
utilization
Whatever
metrics
says
of all
custom
the
metrics.
instances.
No, that's not correct. Memory and disk utilization are not part of standard metrics, so you
That's
need
part.
to have custom
That's
metrics configured.
that's that's part of the enhanced monitoring though. You can when you put enhanced monitoring on it you can choose memory and disk utilization. Use the default CloudWatch configuration to EC2 instances where the memory and disk utilization metrics are readily available. Install the AWS Systems Manager agent to all the EC2 instances. That sounds like a lot of work.
That's
Um,
not what it's install CloudWatch agent to IC2 instances, gather the memory and disk utilization, view custom metrics in Amazon CloudWatch.
I believe you're correct on that one. I thought I
This
didn't see.
this one anything to do with CloudWatch is visceral, and I'll be really embarrassed if I'm wrong. I will be for shame.
I think you're right though.
I will be for shame.
Ha ha! Mugford wins
Oh,
again.
good. I'm not for shame.
Once I saw that,
Yeah.
because when you said it's the one with memory and utilization, I looked here. I didn't even look at this one.
Oh no, custom metrics is the word you're looking for. Anything to do with anything to do with CloudWatch and
Yeah,
memory and disk
yeah,
utilization.
yeah,
Just look for custom metrics.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I gotcha. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I for that particular question, I would defer to your better judgment every time because I know you know that really well. Um, a company collects atmospheric data such as temperature, air pressure, and humidity from different countries. Each site location is equipped with various weather instruments and a high-speed internet connection. The average collected data in each location is around 500 GB and will be analyzed by a weather forecasting application hosted in Northern Virginia. As a solutions architect, you need to aggregate all the data in the fastest way. Which of the following options sound effects comes with sound effects. Which of the following options can satisfy the given requirement? Set up a site-to-site VPN connection. Use a simple edge device to transfer large amounts of data. Uh, Upload the data to the closest S3 bucket. Set up a cross-region replication. Copy the object's destination project bucket. That's weird. I said project. work. I got work on the brain. Enable transfer acceleration in the destination bucket and upload the collected data using multi-part upload.
Yeah, it's that one. Pretty sure it's that one. It's either that or the snowball one.
Yeah,
The
but
site,
500
site,
gigabytes. It's it's not a petabyte. It's
yeah, no,
what
I know, I know.
where's my hard drive?
The it's not site to site VPN.
Is that well?
Uh,
It's not on premises, right? So
yeah,
it's site to
and
site
it's not.
VPN. So IPsec tunnel, site to site VPN, and direct connect are if it says on premises, it's probably one of those three things. So I
Yeah,
don't think it's that one. I don't think it's Snowball Edge because that's not
yeah,
really a large amount of data. Upload the
yeah.
data to the closest S3 bucket. That doesn't make sense to me.
Makes sense. Yeah. So it's the last one. I know that's correct.
It's
Just
from
click it and collect your money. Let's go. Let's go.
different countries.
Click and collect. Click and collect.
Fine. Hit you with a hard fine. A travel photo sharing website is using Amazon S3 to serve high quality photos to visitors of your website. After a few days, you found out there are other travel websites linking and using your photos. Err,
You bastards.
this.
I mean,
You killed Kenny. This resulted in financial losses for your business. What is the most effective method to mitigate this issue? Work
the
docs?
pre-sandwich.
Nah. CloudFront?
Oh, right.
Nah.
Right.
Block the IP addresses? Nah. Configure S3 bucket to remove? Yes.
Last one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's what you said, right?
Yeah, correct.
Pre-signed Earls. Hello, my name is Earl.
Did I do that?
That's Urkel.
Nobody.
But
Oh,
that's
now you're gonna remember though.
yeah, I will because I just pictured Earl and Urkel in the same room. Startup is using Amazon RDS to store data from a web application. Most of the time, the application has a low user activity, but it receives bursts of traffic within seconds whenever there is a new product announcement. The solutions architect needs to create a solution that will allow users around the globe to access the data using an API. What should the solutions architect do to meet the above requirement? Create a API using Amazon API Gateway and use the Amazon EC cluster with service autoscaling to handle bursts of traffic in seconds. Create an API using Amazon API Gateway and use Amazon Elastic Beanstalk with autoscaling to handle the bursts of traffic in seconds. Create an API using Amazon API Gateway and use AWS Lambda to handle the bursts of traffic in seconds. Create an API Amazon Gateway and use an auto scaling group of EC2 instances to handle the burst of traffic in seconds.
Yeah,
So,
EC2 is not gonna come up in seconds. That's just not gonna.
if you've ever made an instance
Yeah,
manually, uh,
yeah. They don't even start in seconds when they're like stopped.
no,
So.
it takes a
Um.
while. So it's like booting up a old computer
Yeah, and
with 5 10 minutes.
Elastic Beanstalk doesn't make any sense.
No, because it's you. Yeah, no, it does.
That's
I
not
get
what
what
it's
you mean.
for. ECS cluster doesn't say anything about containers. Uh, so that's and ECS clusters, I believe, are just a abstraction layer for EC2 instances, anyways. So that's
Yeah,
not going to come
it's
in
not a
seconds
container
either.
question. I
The only one that's going to come up in seconds is that one. Yeah.
yeah, it's because it's Lambda and an API
Lambda,
gateway.
lambda,
It
lambda.
just makes sense. Let's collect your money, like you like to say. Okay,
Click and
we're
collect.
all
I
right.
made it up. Trademark pending. Patent pending. Click and collect.
And Amazon, right? An application is hosted in an AWS Fargate cluster that runs a batch job whenever an object is loaded onto the Amazon S3 bucket. The minimum number of ECS tasks is initially set to 1 to save on costs, and it will only increase the task count based on new objects uploaded on the S3 bucket. Once processing is done, the bucket becomes empty and the ECS task should be back to 1. What is the most suitable option to implement with the least amount of effort? I'm just going to click
I
that one.
still,
Set up a CloudWatch
I
event rule to detect S3 object put operations and set the target of the ECS cluster with the increased number of tasks. Create another rule to detect S3 delete operations. Set the target of the to the ECS cluster with the one as the task count. I think that's right, but I'll read the rest anyway. Set up an alarm in CloudWatch to monitor CloudTrail
no,
since the S3.
no,
Set up an alarm in
no.
CloudWatch to monitor CloudTrail. Set up a CloudWatch event rule to detect S3 object put operations and set the target to a Lambda function that will run Amazon ECS API command to increase the number of tasks on the ECS. Create another rule to detect the S3 delete operations and run the Lambda function to reduce the number of ECS tasks.
Doesn't say any specific numbers, so I think you're correct.
But this does.
Yeah,
And this does. But remember how the
yeah,
replica thing went?
yeah. I think you're correct.
Aha! I built suspense.
Aha!
I
I
faked.
fooled it again.
I faked my lack of confidence.
So I was pretty sure that was correct.
Oh yeah. Okay, so an IT consultant is working for a large financial company. The role of the consultant is to help the development team build a highly available web application using stateless web servers. In this scenario, which AWS
Yeah,
services are suitable
you
for
already got
storing
it.
session state data?
You already got it. I have no questions.
Fair. A pharmaceutical company has resources hosted on both their on premises network and AWS cloud. They want all their software architects to access resources on both environments using their on premises credentials, which is stored in Active Directory. In this scenario, which of the following can be used to fulfill this requirement?
Does it say
VPC,
Windows?
users, Web Identity Federation, Microsoft
Direct.
Active Directory Federation Service.
Yeah, ADFS. It's because it's tying into the one below is for, I believe, for like Google and Facebook and that one. But the ADFS allows you to connect using their on-prem credentials, which are stored in Active Directory. The only thing there that points to Active Directory is ADFS. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's funny that in my other practice exams, if a Microsoft answer comes up in the question, it always says Microsoft or Windows. So it's like,
Yeah,
but this one doesn't. It's just this.
yeah. Active Directory is Windows thing though.
All right, two more questions, and then we can wrap her up.
Wrap it up. I'll take it.
To the bank. Are we clear? Not yet. An organization needs a persistent block storage volume that will be used for mission critical workloads. The backup data will be stored in an object storage service, and after 30 days, the data will be stored in a data archiving storage service. What should you do to meet
Like
the above requirement?
lifecycle
Attach an instance
policies.
store volume to your existing EC2 instance. Use Amazon S3 to store your backup data and configure a lifecycle policy to transition your object to Glacier. Attach a ABS volume in your EC2 instance. Use Amazon S3 to store your backup data and configure a lifecycle policy to transition your object to Amazon S3 Glacier. EBS volume instance S3 store your backup lifecycle to Amazon S3 one zone infrequent access. Attach an instance store in your volume instance. Use Amazon S3 to store your backup data and configure your lifecycle policy to S3 one zone IA. Uh,
Doesn't say anything about saving money,
it
so it
does not.
doesn't need to be one zone IA.
Well, and like infrequent access is for like rapid access, and it doesn't say anything about that either. And it also doesn't say saving money. So it's not either. It's not S3's one zone IA.
No, correct.
Um, so instance store volume, it could be, but it's mission critical.
I think it's your EBS farm.
Yeah, me too. Amazon S3 to store your backup data, and then lifecycle policy to transition the objects. Yeah, I'm going with that. What do you think? Do we concur?
I think that's right. I think that's
Mogbirds
right.
concur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, solid. I mean, solid today.
Last
Nobody. Who's that guy that said that word?
solid. One last question. I got one last question for you. A company has a web application that uses Internet Information Services for Windows Server. A file share is used to store the application data on the network attached storage of the company's on premises data center. To achieve a highly available system, they plan to migrate the application and file share to AWS. Which of the following can be used to fulfill this requirement? Does it say Windows? See, boom,
Yeah, it says Windows.
boom. Is it a server? Boom,
Yeah, I
boom.
think
Migrate
the
the
way.
existing file
I
share.
think that's right.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like I
Feel like you cheated because you know it.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's all
I
right.
did. I wasn't relying on you at all aside from
No.
one question or maybe
Yeah,
two.
the cloud watch is visceral for me though because I lived it.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why I was just like, Okay, well, hope you learned something if you watched it. If you stuck the whole way through, it was super exciting. And it seems
Yeah,
like
if
we
you're
know a
still here,
lot.
smash the like button.
Yeah, smash that like button, click the
Yeah,
notification. We're at 29 subscribers. Ask me
yeah.
how.
Get us to
Uh,
30.
get
We
us to
should be 30.
30.
You could be 30.
You could be the 30th subscriber of the Cloud Brothers. That's a milestone. All right. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Peace.
So, yeah, yeah.